Questions? Let's move to commissioner comments. Commissioner O'Hara.
Thank you. As you all know, I am very concerned about the truck traffic on all of our arterial roadways, and not even our secondary, I'm going to rephrase that, our secondary county roads. And our board resolution adopted CARNAP, which is part of the update of the Johnson County Rural Comprehensive Plan, that talks that our CARNAP guiding principles is not to accommodate interstate truck traffic. It is Johnson County's position that it is a primary function of the state and interstate system to provide adequate access through the county for interstate truck traffic. Due to safety concerns and high maintenance costs, Johnson County will take aggressive action to discourage through truck traffic on local routes. It will start by conducting a study for the unincorporated area to determine the needs for local trucks and establish truck routes to fulfill those needs. That was never done. It was never done. So we have statutes that local authorities with respect to highways under their jurisdiction, also by ordinances or resolution, may prohibit the operation of trucks or other commercial vehicles, or may impose limitations as to weight and size thereof on designated highways. And we are not talking about highways. We are talking about secondary streets. And 199th Street, I know that Commissioner Hanslick was out driving around on those, I believe a week or so ago. I was out riding my bike on Saturday, and I was on those roadways, and they are absolutely inappropriate for semi-truck traffic, interstate truck traffic. Limitations shall be designated by appropriate signs placed on such roadways, provided that adjacent premises to such restricted streets may be served, and such restrictions do not apply to streets which is a connecting link of the state highway system unless a satisfactory alternative route is provided. And that alternative route is the interchange at I-35 and 207th Street. It's the Homestead route. So I am making a motion that I move the Board of County Commissioners of Johnson County to direct the county staff and Sheriff's Office to take action in accordance with the Comprehensive Arterial Road Network Plan as adopted by the board to discourage through traffic use on all county secondary roads. So not just 199th Street, but all of these roads that we are having these issues with, the intermodal, Moonlight, Gardner Road, 207th, 215th, 191st, I mean all county secondary roads unless designated as a truck route.
Mr. Pedig, I am going to call you up to the podium, please, and I probably am going to also ask the county manager to get involved. And I apologize because it seems like we're here every week. And you have extensively been working on meetings. You have worked with the Sheriff's Office. So could you, again, go through detail of what's going on behind the scenes?
Good afternoon, Brian Pedig, Public Works. Yes, this is something that, Commissioner Allenbrand, you've been facilitating a discussion with Edgerton and Gardner. And this goes back many years, and specifically the southwest area where we have the Burlington Northern and a lot of development that has brought this truck traffic. That's where we have started those safety improvements that we've discussed the last few weeks, and we have the last segment to be completed next year between Clare Road and US 169. The group is looking at this area, and we're right now finishing traffic counts and specifically truck classifications. What type of trucks do we have? Where are they at? What's the volumes? Where do we have an issue? Where don't we have an issue? In coordinating amongst the three entities. And that would actually be expanded to Miami County and Spring Hill. We're involving them in the conversation so we can have a consensus as to where we think we should have trucks, to your point, Commissioner O'Hara, and where we shouldn't. And that would fold into the idea of where do we have a truck problem? Where do we need to make some types of changes? So I expect to do those types of conversations. I would note that 199th Street has been noted as a major arterial CARNAP type 3 for many, many years. and that CARNAP did contemplate the issue of cut-through truck traffic, and that was not so much trucks originating or the destination of the county, but it was trucks using I-35, cutting through, trying to access K-10. So those types of issues the county was, and my understanding was we didn't have the issue at the time of truck cut-through traffic. We don't know of any area, and it wasn't, there wasn't any value in conducting a truck study trying to see if there was a problem when we weren't aware of any.
Could you also talk about the meetings with the sheriff's office and working with the sheriff's office and the deputies with speed limits and that study that happens on those roads?
So as a separate item, we have been working with the sheriff at looking at speed limits on some of our arterial roads, seeing if they're posted correctly. And we do anticipate bringing an item in front of the board here in the next few weeks regarding changes to some of those speed limits.
Do we have any more questions, Commissioner Ashcraft?
Well, to facilitate discussion, I will second the motion.
Commissioner O'Hara, do you have another?
Yes, and you and I are discussing the increase of speed limits on Kenneth Road, but this is, the speed limits have nothing to do with truck traffic. As Mr. Pedic, as you have commented, this has been in discussion for a long time. And my point is that we need to take action now because this is unsafe. I mean, interstate highways, you don't ride your bike on an interstate highway. You don't walk on an interstate highway. Unimproved secondary roads, you should not have interstate truck traffic on. And we have had people week after week come and talk about the issue. I mean, we've had a gentleman that was killed on Gardner Road. I mean, what more do we need? And all I'm asking is for us to put into place what already is allowed by statute. We have the right to do this. And if we put it out there that we are not going to allow this truck traffic and that the sheriff is going to be encouraged to issue citations, this will quickly go away. Then it gives us time to establish, well, okay, we're going to establish such and such as a truck route, which means that we're going to expend hundreds of thousands of dollars in improvements because we can't actually designate a truck route on these roads that have no shoulders. They have total immediate drops into the ditches. And this is a safety issue. And yes, we have been discussing this forever. 199th Street was designated as an arterial years before truck traffic, never ever imagining that there was going to be interstate truck traffic on that. And so we need to put in place, we need to put public safety, number one. And it is, and I'm sure, Mr. Pedic, you do agree that truck traffic on these secondary roads, such as 199th, it's not safe.
So I don't agree with that statement. We do have roads in the county, hundreds of miles, that do not have any safety improvements. So these improvements were going to occur in 199th point at some point in time. Trucks being on those roads, I don't consider them unsafe or dangerous. Certainly a truck crash has a higher severity than just a normal sedan. If we thought a road was unsafe or dangerous, we would close it, which we have done.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. I think, was it Yogi Berra that said, isn't this deja vu all over again? I thought we had this discussion last week. And my recollection is that no one on this dais is unconcerned about truck traffic, but we also do not want to put in place a knee-jerk reaction that may or may not be helpful. So my question is there an anticipated timeline for when these discussions might bring a recommendation before the county commission or to any of the city councils? Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
We hope to complete traffic counts within the next few weeks.
Okay.
That will then allow this analysis and discussion. Coordinating a consensus between entities with competing interests that's tough to put a time frame on. I think that Commissioner Allenbrand is doing a great job working this process forward. It's going to take several months, and even then, I don't know what the outcome will be, but I'm hopeful that a consensus can be reached on some of the concern you have, which is at least address safety issues, maybe where future developments are, what type of developments. That's going to be an ongoing conversation.
Thank you.
And, I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Hanslick. We don't want to make a knee-jerk response. I came in office on January the 11th and started getting some calls on roads, and you and your staff have been so proactive in areas where we needed safety, where areas we needed to fix. We've been doing that, but also doing the study. And during COVID, there wasn't a lot of people moving around, some trucks, there was things moving, but you have to do a study, and we have to rely on experts who are trained. You have a degree. You are trained. And one of the things that we did, part of these committee meetings, I think it was your comment, I said, if all the elected officials would stay out of it and let the city, and that's who's been attending these meetings, is the city staff, the Miami County staff has been meeting with your team, and you've been having these meetings, and then we're going to all come back together again. It's not going to happen overnight. This is important to me. I live out there. I drive these roads all the time, and they are dangerous. I can't imagine that if you put a stop on trucks right now without having a plan in place, what kind of danger that would create and more deaths. And then I also can't imagine that the sheriff has so much free time to be doing citations like that until we have a true plan in place. I don't believe it's this diocese's expert opinion to come up with a truck route. And so I totally oppose this. I want to commend the staff for all the work they're doing, and I hope we can move forward. Commissioner O'Hara.
Thank you. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. This is taking responsibility, and under statute, we have this authority. These trucks have been an issue for years, and we have the right to prohibit trucks on our secondary roads if adequate access is available, and that adequate access is available on the interchange that was paid for by the state of Kansas at Homestead. And for these, and it is not going to take the sheriff much effort to get the word out quickly to the truckers, because these truckers do not want to have citations on their record. So this is simply a safety issue. We cannot allow these types of interstate trucking routes to be used on our secondary roads, and we have the authority. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. We have the statutory authority. The cities do it all the time, and we need to take action so that we don't continue to have these hazardous conditions out on our roadways.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Chair. I myself, as a county commissioner, I rely heavily on our staff's recommendations. They are the professionals. They are the ones that will help lead us to understand circumstances that need to be taken, actions that need to be taken, and I am not hearing at this time that that is an action that needs to be taken.
And Commissioner Myers, I want to expand on that. It's not just the county staff. His staff has been working with our city partners, and so you've got city involved, and you also have KDOT. There's a lot of other entities are involved in that. If there's no other commissioners here to speak, Commissioner Ashcraft?
Yeah,
Well, I was just going to say, you're coming back with information that I could move to table this motion, right? You're coming back with a study, correct? And you will have more information at that point. So, one option here is I could move to table your motion at the time when you come forth with the traffic count and the the work with Commissioner Allenbrand, then you'll have more information. We don't have all the information now.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I will grant that impromptu motions can be pesky, but I would suggest that Commissioner O'Hare has been consistent in her peskiness, and it's been an issue that's, I think, weighs on all of us to some degree. I see a disconnect in the conversation, though, and I was wondering if Mr. Pedic could help clarify it for me. Commissioner O'Hare, you may have to repeat what you said, but I believe you made reference that the current CARNAP plan recognized, identified, and tried to act upon interstate truck traffic on our secondary roads. So this is a long-standing issue that probably has not redeveloped anew, but I think is intensifying with the warehouse development out there and will continue to grow. So Commissioner Allenbrand, your efforts, Mr. Pedic, your efforts to move forward are fine, but the disconnect I'm struggling with a little bit is there is no immediate stopgap effort, which I think Commissioner O'Hare is asking about, that would help minimize the most egregious truck traffic violations based on the existing CARNAP rules that could be pursued?
So the CARNAP truck restrictions she's speaking to were a concern when the county, and I'm going off my recollection of having worked with people like Dean Palos and Norm Bowers when CARNAP was put together, that the concern was that if the county adopted CARNAP, they were concerned that folks might start using the county routes to connect from I-35 to K-10, trying to cut across the county. And correctly, they said that's the state's job, is to provide interstate truck traffic, truck access. Developments that have truck traffic, they weren't intending to say, let's stop that a truck originating or having a destination in the county will need to use our local roads. So it's kind of a question really of development. And once the warehouse went in, and if a truck in their warehouse or the intermodal needs to get to US 169 or to an area in Spring Hill or an area in Miami County, they're going to necessarily need to use the local roads.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Hanslick?
Excuse me, thank you. Two thoughts or questions is, one, I appreciate what Commissioner Ashcraft is saying. However, quoting something he often says is, I don't have enough data to make this decision. I mean, I'm hearing that it's a problem, but I don't know the extent. I don't know what roads. And then the other question I have is, the motion that, or the motion that's before us has no details in terms of what type of trucks, what weight of trucks. Is it everywhere in the whole county, the unincorporated area? To me, it's just too broad of a motion to be workable. So those are my two concerns about, two of my many concerns about the motion.
And Commissioner Hanslick, those are points well taken, because we also have Cisco trucks. We also have farmers out there that are hauling. So I guess at this point, we just need to call, we have a motion in place, and just call a vote. So let's just call a vote. Commissioner O'Hara?
Thank you. Mr. Pedic, you said that these trucks have no alternative, but that they have to go across county roads, but that's not correct, in that they can go up I-35 and connect with 169 highway. It's these trucks are damaging our roadways, and when they are on unimproved two-lane roads that have no shoulders, and they have dangerous, significant drop-offs into ditches, and this motion is made in accordance with our already established comprehensive arterial road network plan. And I am just asking that this has been in place forever. We simply enforce what we already have on the books, and that is that CARNAP is not to accommodate interstate truck traffic. That's not. That's our secondary roads were not built for that. It endangers our citizens, our residents of Johnson County, and we simply already have this in place, and I'm just asking that it be enforced. And then if we come back and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to improve Road X and Road Y, and we're going to designate them as truck routes. And I think if we come back and we say that we're going to have tremendous pushback from the residents of this county because they don't want to pay for truck traffic. And not only if we put that in place and then the trucks use that, they're going to be pounding these roads to death. We already have the interstate roads, we already have state highways, and if it takes 10 more minutes for the truck to use I-35, I don't care. I don't care. What I care about is the safety of the residents of Johnson County. And we have people out on bikes on these roads. We even have pedestrian traffic on these roads.
Commissioner O'Hara, I think that we're all sitting on this dais, and we all are very concerned about these roads. I think you and your staff are very concerned about these roads. And, I disagree. I'm not in favor of this because I feel like that if you put a motion through and you don't think about it, and you don't think it through, and you don't have all the facts, it's going to cause more mass chaos than having a precise plan to move forward. So I'm calling for a vote.
I would like to move to amend her motion to table Commissioner O'Hara's motion until we have data, plan, we have outcomes, what are outcomes of success that you always ask for. We have no data and information here. So I would like to move until Brian presents us more information in writing. We have nothing in writing in terms of analysis. And as someone who spent years at the University of Kansas as a policy analysis for the state of Kansas, I don't work that way. I would like to have some information. So that is my motion to table it.
Second, Hanslick.
I want to make a comment, please.
Commissioner O'Hara.
Thank you. This is not redoing policy. This is simply enforcing policy that's in place and has been in place for years. This is not something that I have just pulled out of the sky. I've done extensive research on this, and no one on this dais can say that it's appropriate for interstate truck traffic to be using our secondary roads that are not improved. And we need an interim. We just simply need to enforce what we already have on the books. But let's take a vote.
Legal,
Yeah,
I do have a question. So since we've already made a comment that he's coming back in a few weeks with a suggestion, after those reports are made, why do we need to have an amendment?
Well, you now have a motion and a second to
just go
table
ahead
this
and
until
Okay.
such time as Public Works comes back with additional information and data as stated
Okay.
in the motion. So that is the motion before you that needs to be acted on first.
Okay, so it's the motion that Commissioner Fast to table. Well, let's call a vote.
I need a second on that
We had a
motion.
first from Commissioner Fast and a second from Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a
Com-
motion to table, correct?
To table until Mr. Petey comes back with the facts.
Commissioner Fast,
Aye.
Commissioner Myers,
Myers, aye.
Commissioner O'Hara,
No.
Commissioner Hanslick,
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft,
No?
and Vice Chair Allenbrand.
Allen Brand, aye.
I have 4-2, it passes.
I don't even know where we're at anymore. We're still at your comments, Commissioner O'Hara.
I think I've commented enough today.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, okay, Commissioner Myers,
No comment.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a